I'm going to call to order of the Rockdale Planning and Zoning Meeting Commission of Tuesday, June the 2nd, 2026. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chair Williams,
Here.
Vice Chair Ratliff,
Here.
Commissioner Houston, Commissioner Higdon,
Here.
Commissioner Dunkel,
Here.
and our council liaison Willie is absent.
I'm going to change the order of things just a little bit. We have a seated commissioner that hasn't been sworn in. I'd like to get her sworn in real quick like.
You can just stand right there and you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Margie Dunkel,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of my appointed office
the duties of my appointed office
of the state of Texas
of the state of Texas
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my abilities,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome aboard, Margie. Y'all stand now. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together today. We thank you for this beautiful day and the friends and neighbors that we enjoy. Lord, we ask that you bless this meeting, that you guide the words and decisions and thoughts of the members of this commission, and that everything that they do might be pleasing to you. We ask all of this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Citizens communications, we have two. Now, y'all are going to speak on a topic that's already on the agenda. You can speak now, and we cannot answer any questions, or you can wait till we get to the action item. You want to speak now? State your name.
Commissioners, my name is Mario Casares. I am Executive Director of Rockdale Housing Authority. The property on the agenda is ours. We were in a 2-year process of trying to build 72 affordable housing apartments for 55 and older citizens. However, the grant funded stopped. There's no more HUD grants. So we're here asking this board to change it back to a mobile home from apartments. The buyer will do the rules. Rockdale says 5 years and older. He plans to put a fence and make it a respectable mobile home park if the Planning and Zoning City Council changes it back to mobile home. Next is the manager of Rockdale Housing. She'd like to say a few words as well.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amy Granados. I'm the manager of Rockdale Housing Authority. We stated before how there's housing needed in Rockdale, and we spoke of the elderly, disabled needing housing, and if we change it back to mobile home parks, there's still families that are coming in daily that need housing. They're begging for applications. They need housing. They're living in their cars. They're living in motels. They're living anywhere they can, RVs. So if we could take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Grant, I didn't see an item check. Did you?
I was up front and I didn't realize. Yes, I just came back here. Yeah.
Is it on an item on our agenda? Did you get an agenda?
I did.
Okay. Are you wanting to speak at that time or now? Right now, we can't answer questions. We take citizens' communications under consideration. If you wait till the items before us, then you can be a part of it then. But
Okay, I think that's everything.
so you would, okay. And for the record, that was Grant Ruiz. All righty then. At this time, I'd like to offer a heartfelt condolences to the Charles Miles family, the loss of his mother. I just wanted that on the record. Charles, we feel for you, son. Charles was a commissioner for a long time, served us well. His mother passed away. All right, a presentation. He's good at testing me, man. He's on it. Same kind of deal. You want to speak now? Yes, sir.
All right, so,
Tell us who you are.
okay, my name is Jesus Alcala. I'm one of the owners of Dusty Boots Arena, the mobile food court and sports bar here in Rockdale. We would like to see if the planning and zoning would help us, I guess, transition or rezone our land to allow RVs to be placed there. We've tried the mobile food trucks, and they left us. They want to be on the 79 corridor for, traffic, which I completely understand. But we've built the infrastructure for 10 mobile food units, and it's been there. And we're not doing anything with it. So we're trying to see if we could, somehow change it over to RVs so that we could have RVs there, since the infrastructure is already there. We have fresh water, sewer, and electricity at all 10 sites. So I'm just here to see if maybe we could, allow for RVs to be there.
Have you approached the city planning office?
I have, yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you for your comment. We can't answer you.
No, of course. Thank you.
Citizen Communications. Does that complete Citizens Communications? Let's have a presentation then.
All right, Commission, I see you again. So we have 2 months of presentations, but I'll make this quick. You can stop me if you have questions because we weren't able to meet last month. So on the April council, that was actually the busier council meeting for you guys. The mobile food vendor ordinance passed both April and May. I wanted to bring that to your attention because when we talked about it here, I was under the impression that we could issue a permit as long as it didn't contradict state law. Well, it turns out you can't issue a permit at all. So the ordinance amendment was pretty easy. You just deleted half of the ordinance, basically, is what we did. Now, you still kept in your drive-through requirements because state law says we can do that, and you're still required to park on gravel at least and do all of those, and then also require them in certain areas. We just can't issue them permits. So that passed. And that's just getting in compliance with state law that is going to take effect in July. Cornerstone's infrastructure was approved and accepted for 1D, 1E, and 1F. The plat that you guys saw on 836 West Bell, if you can remember, it was 2 lots that were asking for some variance for the existing buildings. That was approved by the city council. And then the last item I have for you is the city has entered into an interlocal agreement with the Milam County Fire Marshal. The way that that's going to work essentially is anytime the city gets any fire plan reviews or if there's any fire code enforcement services that are needed, we would reach out to the fire marshal for the county now and work directly with them. So in that process, I'm working on some code updates and fee schedule amendments because we'll have to come into an alignment with what they have adopted with that.
And who
with
is
that.
that, Ben? The county fire marshal.
Todd,
Yeah, Mr. Todd. The first name's slipping me.
Josh, Todd,
He's a really good guy. If you ever met him, he's very, very well spoken, very, very good at his job.
he's the son of Richard Todd at the Camrock
Oh,
Clinic.
yeah, okay.
So
Sorry.
that's who will essentially act as our fire marshal now. We still have a fire marshal for the city of Rockdale, but that authority has now basically gone to the county. Any questions on any of those items I've presented?
And you have another month, or is that all?
That's it. We had April and May that I couldn't give you a council presentation
We
on.
had issues with the Fair Park and the land. I don't know how that came out. They went in special meeting.
Well, so Tim and some council members met outside of a meeting to discuss some parameters, and they're going to bring that to the July.
There was an issue with the storage units here with the council.
Yeah, so the storage units, you saw that at your April meeting? It's all starting to run together now. And they got their approval in May. The only caveat to their approval was their entrance off of Cameron. They wanted that to be an entrance only, and they'd have to exit on Travis.
You have to what?
Exit onto Travis. So they're fronting
Entrances
Travis
on
right
the
now.
highway, one way,
Yeah.
exits.
So the way they're going to do that, they'll have to plat the property, so you'll see the plat in the future. They're going to provide their deed restrictions, deeding that is an entryway only.
I think that's all that I can remember, so.
Yeah, that's all I got. Any other questions?
No, sir, thank you for your presentation. That brings us to action items. That'll be number 3, review and approve the minutes from the meeting on April 7th, 2026. It should be the next tab, or the first tab.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded that we approve the minutes as written. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion made, seconded, and carries. That'll take us then to action item number 4. Conduct a public hearing and consider and take up necessary action on a recommendation to the city council regarding a rezone request for property located in the 900 block of San Gabriel, property ID 205308333, to change the zoning classification from R3 PUD, which is residential multiplex planned unit development, to M2, which is manufactured home park. And this is a public hearing, and we're starting the public hearing at 1:44. Comments? Yes. This is your opportunity.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, and the members of the commission. My name is Grant Ruiz. I'm representing Nick Farr Zolgofri with ETC Realty LLC. He's the applicant of the zoning request for the two San Gabriel Street parcels. So basically, we're requesting that the two contiguous tracts at 915 San Gabriel Street and the 900 block of San Gabriel Street, approximately.
Hang on just a second. Hang
Yes,
on.
sir.
Ben, could you take these lights down? Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
No problem. Yeah, so we're requesting that the two contiguous tracts at 915 San Gabriel Street and the 900 block of San Gabriel Street, it's approximately 3.945 acres in total, be rezoned from R3 PUD to M2 Manufactured Mobile Home Park. These parcels were zoned MH1 and MH2 prior to the 25 R3 PUD overlay, which was put in place for a housing authority apartment concept that has not moved forward. This request restores manufactured housing zoning that the original parcels held for decades. Both sites operated as manufactured home parks going back to the 1950s on the east side tract and the 1980s on the west side tract. There's actually still remnants of that use that are still on the property today. There's historical pad locations, pole-mounted on-cord transformers, water meters, and hookups. And then the conceptual exhibit that y'all have in front of you illustrates basically the managed professional operated community with enforced standards on home quality, skirting, anchoring, outdoor storage, parking, resident conduct, and the layout is prepared with reference to Rockdale spacing standards in section 3.07.085. With the final layout, the count, the drives, the drainage, and all the utilities to be established through engineering, of course, and the full city review. The site did have a clean phase 1 environment assessment from October 2024. There were no recognized environmental conditions outside of the mapped floodplain, and the redevelopment removes documented blight from that report and puts homes on the tax roll. And since the previously approved alternative on this same site was the 72-unit apartment plan, this proposal is lighter on material on density, hardscape, and traffic. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and thank you all for listening.
So I heard you mention that it meets the spacing standards.
We're going to be working with the city on everything to make sure that everything is up to the standard in the code. Yeah.
Waiting to see if anyone else has a question at this time.
Do you know how many, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
do you know how many spaces there were before? Did you mention that?
Oh, so the concept was to acquire 50 spaces.
Okay. And when it was,
Yeah, but before that, she said before.
The existing, I think, I don't know, but I can get with y'all on that. Yeah, they had, the space is already there for all of them, yeah.
It's a public hearing, so I guess you can.
Are these going to be rental homes or people buying homes and setting them on site?
We're still kind of figuring out the basics, and we wanted to see what the city wants first before we actually make any final decisions on that part.
I'm
Yeah.
a landowner on the west side.
Oh, wow, cool. Awesome.
It's that whole corner track there.
We should cover all that in, after we do the public hearing, if y'all can hold just a little bit. Did you want to speak at the public meeting, or did you want?
I
Okay.
was just here to find out what was going on.
Anybody else wish to speak at the public hearing portion? If not, we're going to close the public meeting at 1:49. And then that brings us to number 5, conduct a public hearing. Consider and take any necessary action on a recommendation to the city council regarding a rezone request for property located at 915 San Gabriel, property ID 26478, to change the zoning classification from R3 PUD, which is residential multiplex planned unit development, to M2 manufactured home park. I'm going to open the public hearing at 1:50.
Can we go back to the other item? These are two different properties. So you'd want to take action on the first one first, and then we'll do a second public hearing, if you don't mind, Chair.
Well, I didn't see it as take action on that. It just said open the public hearing, so I was confused. So in my confusion, I say, yes, Ben, let's continue back.
Okay. Okay, so the applicant has come forward to the city with this request, and they've just requested a M2 designation, which, what that means, it will be a manufactured home park, which is what it was historically. If you were to approve their request as is, then what you're looking at is the unit had to be new in 5 years. So I use this here as an example. If they were applied in 2026, the unit can be no older than the 2021 unit, had to be HUD approved. And then they would have to underpin within 30 days of placement of the home, and they're only required to install 2 trees per unit in front yard grass. That's what your ordinance recalls. So what I've done is your comp plan recommends to approve this because it's in a core neighborhood. I know manufactured homes can be a pretty touchy subject for a lot of different folks. So my job as a planner is to figure out how do we get them their request and how do we protect the existing neighborhood and their home values.
Did you review the packet that we have here?
I was reviewing it. That was the first I got of it. And then this is the first that they're going to hear what my rebuttal is to their request. So what I'm proposing is you do a planned unit development on top of this, because what a planned unit development will do is add more standards than what we traditionally require. My fear, I've grown up in Rockdale like many of you, that was a very trashed out place for a very, very long time, still is. There's nothing on it. There's just some old manufactured homes still on there. So my fear is you rezone this, you put a couple out there, development doesn't work, they all get run down again, and then you're back to where we were before the housing authority got it. So what I'm asking for is if this were to move forward, add a planned unit development, what you're going to require is on San Gabriel, which is their entrance, that they need to put up a masonry wall. We've done that to a manufactured home park on 79, if you can recall. Then what I would also ask for is that they have entryway signage that's installed according to the sign ordinance that you've approved. Now, the landscaping requirements are going to be a little bit more than what we traditionally require. In the past, like I said, we only require 2 trees in front yard grass. I would say you would ask for 2 trees and 4 shrubs per unit. And then along San Gabriel, if they're going to actually develop this out, they're going to be improving San Gabriel on their dime. And so in that, when they improve that, it would be an asphalt road with curb and gutter installation, and they would install decorative streetlights out there.
And you haven't spoken with them about this
No.
yet?
Not yet.
So if they're not willing to accept those, staff's recommendations to not approve this. But if they're willing to accept it, then staff would feel comfortable.
Under your advisement, should we table this until y'all have a chance to get together, or are you prepared for us to go to city council with your proposal as is?
So you're the advisory committee, so you can recommend this approval, and then if they don't like the standards, they can revoke the application.
Y'all clear on that?
I think so. I have a question. Will they only be manufactured homes? What about the tiny homes? Would that be something that would fall under this?
No.
Okay.
She's new to the,
Yeah, so,
she's probably smarter than I am. She's new to this, but the standards are set by the state on the
yeah, so
manufactured
a
home.
manufactured home defined by the HUD code, because HUD is who inspects those homes. So your site-built homes, the ones that you traditionally see, are actually local building code built homes. And so that's why they're deemed differently. So it just depends what code they're built to. I believe tiny homes fall under the RV code, is what I've heard, which would prevent them from being placed there because it's not a HUD home. It's not considered manufactured.
So is this still going to be under HUD?
No, so HUD is an entity that inspects these units.
Inspects.
Yeah,
They have to,
right. So they get a
have to
green
be built
tag.
to, the electrical code, the plumbing
Right.
code, and all that stuff.
Right, I understand.
Mobile homes may or may not, I mean. it's
Well,
up to
they
the
are, so
manufacturer.
they're all built to those codes. HUD just references different codes. So that's your difference.
National,
Yeah, so they're built to a code. HUD's the entity that inspects it and gives them their sticker of approval.
Okay, with that particular code that you're talking about, that they want to be transferred back to.
That's what defines what the unit is. So a site-built home is built to your local building code. A manufactured home is built to the HUD code. It's 2 different codes. They're both building code related, but it's just 2 separate things.
So
which
why
define
wouldn't you
different-
want to
Tim,
make it site-built?
is he going to your? Sorry for the interruption.
Fine.
We may have a couple more interruptions, you'll have to excuse me, but
So what was your question?
Why manufactured and not site-built? Why turn that property back into manufactured if you've already seen what happens and not make it site-built?
So they have applied for the rezoning for that particular zoning.
So it's either yes or no to that particular zone?
They've asked for that particular zoning. Now, I'm going to ask Ben, if our recommendation is not to approve the M2 zoning, but to recommend a PUD zoning, do they have to go through that process again?
No, so you can amend it as is.
You can amend it, but I was also going to suggest if we do that, that we put the 2 together with a with the PUD, which would include improving San Gabriel, because they wouldn't actually approve one and not the other, as a possibility.
Yeah, I don't, you might be able to combine the two requests into one. I've always kept them separate because it's two different property ID numbers. When the Housing Authority did it, we had to separate it because they were actually zoned two different ways. Now that they're the same, it might be able to fall under one request. But again, I mean, if you approve one and don't approve the other, the applicant can always revoke their application at any time. Say, never mind, you know, we're not going to just approve one property and not the other.
So give me your recommendation. Are we gonna combine these two, or are we gonna amend? Give me my three options right here. Approve,
So-
disapprove, amend, combine.
So the combination isn't necessarily a discussion. This is two different properties. This is just for a future item that essentially we're talking about. When we give it to council, we might just give it under one item instead of two. That's what we're talking about on that.
I think that's a better for them.
As far as staff's recommendation, which has not gone through the applicant, would be to add a PUD on this, because historically it was a manufactured home park with issues. And so staff's concern would be that it's gonna go back to a manufactured home park with issues.
Can we include that in the motion? That it be
Yeah, we would be
sent for approval,
taking his recommendation.
taking his,
So my recommendation, if you do staff's recommendation, you're asking for a masonry wall install on San Gabriel. You're asking for entryway signage. You're gonna require 4 shrubs along with the 2 trees in front yard grass.
Right.
You're gonna ask for decorative street lights on the inside their development on San Gabriel. And then you're gonna require them to come in with an asphalt road, curb, and gutter installation.
so my question is, can we not include that in the recommendation? That they include, it includes your recommendation?
Yes, you can go on staff's recommendation, or you can approve it based on just a manufactured home park, or you could say, I don't like staff's recommendation, I don't like manufactured home parks at all, so I'm gonna say no. I mean, however you wanna vote on that is your call.
So Ben's
No, sir.
recommendation is allowing us to have stricter
Right,
standards.
yes,
right.
Yes,
But-
with the PUD.
What about the maintenance of the park itself? Is there any way we can require that it always be maintained?
You can require them to come in with an HOA, or you can ask them to, if they would add that to, you can add almost anything to a PUD. What a PUD is a plan unit development. It's their own unique ordinance that facilitates their development. Cornerstone has one, the new Millerton Landing will have one, Republic Ridge that you haven't seen gone vertical has one. They can have one, and you can add whatever you like in there. So if you'd like for them to have an HOA, and if they're willing to do that, you can add it into. Without an HOA, the
Well,
city.
no, I'm just saying, well, no, owners of the park still have a say as to whether it stays maintained or not. And there always needs to be an owner of that park, is what I'm saying. See, the reason that these things fall apart is because no one takes responsibility for them. They don't stay accountable to it. They don't stay accountable
That'd
to,
be under city.
Well, okay, let me rebuttal this.
okay,
You know, so the city has ordinances, right?
Right.
That are gonna require something to be maintained to a certain extent. But here's the problem that you're gonna run into if you don't do an HOA out there. What you're gonna have happen, which is a predicament that we're in right now, is that those units are gonna become dilapidated in 25 years, okay? I may still be here, I may not. The next person that's here is gonna depend if they have a board called the Building Standards Commission, if they can meet and get this thing torn down or not, which right now we can't get anybody on the board. So I'm sitting here with a list full of houses I wanna get demolished with no board. So if you have an HOA out there, you might get them to keep those units up to standard, and they can be more strict than what the city can be. I understand it. I've lived in an HOA.
no,
They're
yes.
not fun. I
Yeah,
completely get
That's
it.
the thing, HOAs can become Nazis.
They can.
And that's what concerns me, is we don't want someone not to feel like this is their home and their piece of property and their land. They can't do something with it, it's theirs. They're paying for it, they should be able to do that. There are standards by which people should meet, which is, I guess, what I'm wanting, but where do you put those so that it doesn't become a police state? Because there's that balance, you've got to be able to do that.
There is a balance. And, you know, the thing is, from the city's perspective, we're very limited by state law on what we can do. HOAs aren't as much. And so, you know, we can put in standards that the units have to keep clean windows and they have to dust and do all of these different things, but when it comes down to it of actually enforcing that, if the owner doesn't want to do it, then it's going to come down to fines at the end of the day. If you have an HOA, they can potentially do a little bit more and they can put a little bit more pressure on than the city necessarily can. The city would be far more aggressive when it comes to like substandard and things like that, but as far as your day-to-day maintenance, which sounds like that's more your concern.
No, it's not my data. It's substandard. It's allowing it to be like you said, excuse me, I don't know how to pronounce that word. Yeah,
Dilapidated.
allowing that. Not keeping the property clean and maintained. Allowing weeds to grow, allowing trash to be thrown everywhere, allowing old units to be parked along the side. I mean, they're not maintaining it. It's not being maintained. And so people don't feel proud of living there, so they don't maintain their standard of living.
Yeah, and you have a code enforcement department for that.
And so
But
in the PUD can, without recommending or specifically saying they have to have a HOA, I mean, they have in their documents, or I'm assuming this is something officially put together by their organization, of the property maintenance standard that they expect to uphold. So is there just something in the PUD that we can just throw in saying that they have to continue to enforce their own?
Yes, that's really, yeah.
You
that's
can
really-
use whatever language you want to use on that. You just have to be careful what language you use, because aspirational language isn't going to get you anywhere. So if you adopt something saying, we'll maintain our property and we'll do our best, or, we'll have an owner that will maintain our property. If you don't put the standards in of what that maintenance actually
Right.
looks like, then someone can come in and say, well, I mean, they don't have any broken windows, so it's maintained.
Question regarding parking, what's the standard for parking in?
So it's 2 spaces. I did not change the parking requirements for them, and they would be required 2 spaces per unit.
And that's hard covered?
Yeah, it would be on an improved surface that you guys had defined, which is concrete, asphalt, or a grass paver. So every manufactured home is going to have a driveway. They're required by ordinance. It's already in there, and then it'd be improved, and it'd be 2 spaces.
And the standard would allow for only 5-year-old housing to come in now?
That's without the PUD. That's just a Rockdale requirement. That's a typical city requirement. And so if you just approved it as is without the PUD, they're still going to have the 5-year requirement on them. That's already in our ordinance.
Is there any way to put in a standard that says how old they can get?
For when they have to be moved out?
Yeah.
You can do that for RVs. I don't think you can do that for manufactured homes. They're 2 different. RV parks are pretty common. They don't want units older than 10 years. Once you're 10 years, you got to get out. We're not going to rent you a space anymore. Manufactured homes, typically you'll buy the lot, and then you'll place your home on there. So you wouldn't come in and say, okay, you've been here 15 years, your unit's 15 years old.
Right, no, yeah, but it would be more about whether they maintain their unit, whether they kept.
The maintenance, you have code enforcement, and then you can add other language if you want. I'm just telling you that code enforcement is not an HOA department.
Yeah.
I get a lot of phone calls about properties that look blighted.
Yeah.
And they may not be the most attractive properties in the world, but they don't have a code violation, so there's nothing code enforcement can do about it. That's why I bring up the HOA. If your true fear is of maintenance of these things,
No, I really, I value people's personal, but there is a difference between that and then just, it's a hazard. It has no plumbing, it has no water, everything in it is broken, and you still expect people, and people are still living in it. That kind of thing is what can be very harmful to the whole environment.
Yeah, and we're not really, or you're not really able to have an inspection standard or timeline that you have to have something re-inspected.
I heard it mentioned, or I read it, what was the size of these units? Nominal?
the size of the units.
12 by 40, what are we talking about, size?
I believe the lots themselves, like the skinny lots, are around 100, and it should be in those things, but it should be like 900 by 100, something like that. So you can have basically any size on there, on both parks.
119 wide and 935 long.
So they can be big units. All right, yeah, question from the floor?
Okay, a couple of things. First of all, I also own a manufactured home in Austin. It's in a community there. It's operated by Sun Communities. So some of these questions, it depends on what's allowed with the M2 zoning. Or, and this goes back to what I was asking, are these, the actual lots themselves, is that going to be something that a person will be able to purchase the lot? Or, like in my case, the community, I rent the lot and own the home.
Right.
And in that case, Sun Community still owns the property, and they're in charge of, in your lease, you've got a 20-page lease that outlines all of the details of maintaining the home and expectation pets, all of the requirements and everything like that. So in that case, there's a resident manager there, everything, like I said, Sun Communities manager is responsible for that property, just like these guys are for the Rockdale housing up there. Okay, they've got people that rent, they don't own any of that, I don't guess. But, the renter has a certain responsibility, and then the management company has a certain responsibility. Also in relation to the HUD codes and building codes, I'm a master electrician by trade, and so I've had to deal with all the electrical codes, I'm familiar with building codes, plumbing codes. And again, since I own a manufactured home, the HUD requirements, what happens is they're a little bit less strict, or they allow more things, or allow more of what they call economical construction. And so some of those standards may not necessarily be a city building code. And that's why there's conflict sometimes on allowing manufactured homes and things like that. But these days, honestly, some of the manufactured homes, if you get a good quality home from a quality builder, they're as good or better than most of your, site builders.
Yes, yes.
Not saying as good as some of them, but they are, better. Like those old homes that were on the site, those were, what, 70s, 60s? The metal, completely metal, single wide, things like that. Now, if you find a current community, especially a new community, a manufactured home community, those homes, I mean, they look almost as good or better than some of the homes they built out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's just whether or not they're gonna be rentals or owners.
Right, right.
That's really what it comes down to with that.
And, if the person is buying the lot and they're putting their own home on it, then, that becomes the owner issue. And I think that's where the city would be able to step in and enforce the codes and everything. But if it's going to be a lot rental,
Right.
rental homes along with that, or, whatever, like, I don't know if I mentioned it, but, yeah, I rent the lot, I own the home. I bought the home, had it brought in, and, so, I have to meet the community standards, but I'm responsible for the upkeep on the home.
Yeah.
And if there's a problem.
You had a comment?
The community manager comes in.
I just don't know the question. When I say, can the buyer's representative tell us how many years? You gotta understand, I've got years doing this kind of development and answering your questions. I'm sure all your parts are pretty up there, right?
Yeah, and you can say that, but he's just basically trying to, as you could say, help out the owner right now. And he has a contract with him, but if we could provide that, we can.
So you notified all the adjoining property owners?
Yeah.
How many are there?
It's in your packet. I'd have to count for you.
Oh, no, don't do.
Yeah, I mean,
20 something then?
yeah, maybe combined about 20 or 30. They're in your packet. I'm sorry, I don't have that number on my head, but I haven't received any comments from anyone.
That's where I was going
I've gotten a
with
couple
this.
phone calls, but they don't count. I mean, and I've told them that I had to have something in writing to count that. So you haven't hit any threshold in this case of.
Okay, so we're clear on that then. All right, no pushback.
So we didn't get an answer. Are the lots gonna be rented or purchased by the?
That's, I'm kind of waiting on, we were kind of wanting the city's approval on that part. We're really just going from the base of what the city wants, and then we're gonna custom the
Okay.
entire park to what they have.
So you're just kind of exploring the options right now and seeing where we're thinking. Okay, cool.
What's the red, the property that's in the red?
That's the 200-foot boundary. State law requires the city to notify a 200-foot around the property requesting a rezone. So the blue is the property, and then the red is everybody adjoining that property within 200 feet.
And then the blues were the actual property.
Yeah, so you'll see another map on the next one. That's the other property, and then the other 200 feet.
Any more questions regarding this action item? So, we have an action item before us. Requesting a rezone. I'll take action on that.
I recommend that we move forward with the recommendation on the rezone, however, include Ben's recommendations
With amendments?
with as amendments, additions, amendments, whatever, it would be additions.
Modified.
Motion to approve with additions.
With staff's recommendations.
With,
That's the motion.
yes.
Okay. Motion made. Motion made and seconded to approve. Send it to city council. All those in favor, right hand. This action item passes. The next one is the
Thank
next
you.
property. Here we go. Better read it legally. Here we go. Conduct a public hearing and consider and take any necessary action on a recommendation to the city council. So we'll start the public hearing now at 2:15, and this is for the other part of the property, also known as 915 San Gabriel Property ID 26478, to change the zoning classification from R3 PUD, Residential Multiplex Planned Unit Development, to M2 Manufactured Home Park. And I said it was 2:15, public hearing begins. Anyone wish to speak? Please, yeah. Go to the podium, please. Only reason is we're being filmed and that's the mic.
My name is Lee Rogers, and I'm actually the property owner for the property on the west side adjacent to the property in question. I own this section over here. So I guess this is actually my speaking point now. But anyway, like I said, the only questions I have is whether or not this property is going to be you know, completely sold to individual owners, you know, that they're going to own the lot and the home, or whether or not it's going to be a community and people will just rent the lots and they can either rent the home or bring in their own homes. So that's, my preference would be that it's a community with the rental, you know, the people renting the property, that it's handled by a community manager, and they're the ones responsible for the actual upkeep of the property per se, but the home would be the responsibility of the homeowner if that's the case. And of course, if it's rental, then it would fall back on the community manager. So, and like I said, the homes these days, the manufactured homes, they're as good, you know, as some of your site-built stuff. And I think one of the questions somebody asked was that 5-year-old designation that can't be older than 5 years. So, you know, in 2030, it's the same thing, that if anybody's bringing a home in and can't be older than 5 years, it would have to be a 2025 home.
2025, yeah.
And then I think Margie was asking about,
On the
yeah, on the far
backside,
end,
how, you know, how
as
old
far
can
as
it
I
be?
know, you can't tell somebody,
Yeah, I know.
you've got to move the home out. I mean, I don't think that's in our,
We can
Please.
control what goes in, but
Yeah.
right.
telling them it's too old is, I don't know, Ben's pretty tough. He might be able to.
He might have his own ideas there. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Any other comments? Public hearing? Public hearing now closes at 2:18. We'll go into the action phase.
Okay, same comments on this one because it's the same development. Just had to be split out into 2 different items.
I'm starting to understand it a little bit better. I was a little confused why it wasn't together, but I'm getting.
Well, yeah, because even when they plat it, it's going to be 2 different plats because the property's not contiguous with one another. So it's the same way for the zoning because they're not contiguous. They have to be 2 different zoning pieces. I mean, unless my attorney tells me differently, but that's the way that I've understood that to work.
And I'm understanding the same additions or amendments.
Same recommendation of the PUD standard that I did the first time. There's an image of what it could look like with those standards in your packet. You know, if you're comfortable with that, that's kind of what it will look like out there. I do. I mean, I can pass it around.
Oh, overhead? Do we have an overhead of
I
it?
don't think we have an overhead of it,
Okay.
but if y'all want to pass it around, that's with my requirements of what it could look like out there, which is again, my job as a planner is to try to bring in a recommendation from someone to make it work with your city.
Is that one of the pictures from the
Yeah.
comprehensive plan?
No.
I know the other one was. So. I was like, it looks like.
Are you sure? This is what we're seeing. Just let y'all know that this is what we're seeing.
Let me see.
Yeah, so that was,
Now I can't find
The
it.
very back, you got your finger on it.
On the back of the
Right, that tab, the green tab.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's, go left. Yeah, you go.
I knew I saw it.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, it doesn't have to exactly look like that. It just gives you an idea. When I'm giving you these standards of what I'm asking for, you know, I know some of us are visual learners and we can't just picture that in our head, so I thought to give you a picture of what that actually means with what I'm saying. But again, go back to the manufactured home question. You know, I don't know what council's temperature is on this, if they like manufactured homes or if they don't. And I know that might have you guys a little bit worried. But my job as a planner is to bring something to you and the council and give them an option. That you don't ever have to approve anything I ask you to approve. I'm just giving you the standard because I don't think I'd be doing my job if I just tell you no.
Well, and it's a different council than what we had when we were doing the issue on the west side. So it's hard to get a feel for it, you know.
Well, and if you know, I'm very driven by the comprehensive plan that you and the council both approved, and the comprehensive plan talks about the need for this type of housing. Now, it doesn't just say manufactured housing, it says missing middle housing, and there's other options in there.
Right.
So I would be doing a disservice to just say no. You can at the end of the day. I'm just giving you my 2 cents of why I've added standards without going before them to ask, because I've just been out of the office so much I haven't had the chance to even talk to them about this. I had to rush to get this on your agenda.
I'm just worried about that wishy-washy guy that says we're gonna do this, and then he says, no, we're gonna do that. And, you know, I like that ping pong ball to go wonder it and dinero. I understand dinero. All right, so you've heard the issue. I need a suggestion. I need direction. Yes.
Saying that the lots are going to be for rent out only. They cannot buy the lots, but for the homes, they can, we're going to be leaving an option for us to purchase or rent out the homes. So depending on what the city and everything says.
So it's gonna be, the land will be rentable
So that means there's gonna be a community manager.
Yeah, but I'm wondering about now, you're gonna own the trailers?
Some of them.
Are the trailers coming and going, or?
Yeah,
It's gonna be mixed.
yeah, it's gonna be a mix.
Yeah, most Robles does it that way where they own the lot underneath your home.
By the way, they did a very good job there. It looks different than what it was.
Oh,
At the street.
oh.
Different than what it was. A lot better.
You're gonna meet that standard? Los Robles, you're gonna,
They tell me better.
Whatever the city requires.
Great answer.
we are being recorded, right? Oh, okay, all right.
You tried getting away with just the head.
Yeah. All right. I'll consider an action.
I make a motion that we approve the action item with the staff's
Recommendation.
recommendations of the PUD.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that we approve it with the additions. Those in favor, right hand. Motion made, seconded, and carries. That brings us down to number 6, receipt. Now listen, y'all can stay for the next 2 hours. But if you want to hit the door running, I say you better do it now.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Receive the monthly code enforcement report.
Yep. Yep. Next up is city council for you.
Yeah.
Take it away, Mr. Blanchard.
Okay, before you is the mayor report for Commissioner Dunkel. This is the first one you're going to see. You know, I always welcome comments on the report. It traditionally was like almost like a
It'll be this-
spreadsheet.
It'll be this tab right here,
Yeah, you'll see some pie charts.
about the middle tab or so, but. Okay, sorry.
So I'm always welcoming comments. This report has come a long way since we first started. We didn't have one when I first started. Then you asked for one, so then you got, we had Fundview at the time, which don't get me started on Fundview. It generated a pretty nasty report, and so then you got that, and then you had spreadsheets after that, and then you asked for something more visual, so that's how we came up with this. So if there's information that you want more on, or if you want to talk about anything in specific, we certainly can. But I'll go over the numbers with you. Stop me whenever you'd like. So in May 2026, more background for Ms. Knuckle in case she doesn't know. Code enforcement goes by fiscal year because that's what the city does. So our fiscal year is from October 1st to September 30th. So the main numbers, what these first numbers that you're going to see is for the whole fiscal year. So from October of 25 to May of 26 is what these numbers are. So the first number, you have 25 trash and debris cases that we've had this year. We've had 117 high grass cases, and we've had 18 miscellaneous cases. Miscellaneous cases can be anything from low-hanging trees, property maintenance violations such as broken windows, disrepaired siding, people not pulling building permits. It can be any of those things. It can be zoning violations. It's just instead of listing each one, that we have 1 or 2 of these, and this list gets really long, I've just put it under the other category. In that breakdown of what we've done this fiscal year, 119 of these cases have been open and closed. That means that if they got a high grass letter, they cut their grass. If they had a trash letter, they cleaned up their trash. 8 of them are in the court system because they are given 10 days from receipt of a letter to abate the violation that we're asking them to. If they do not, then they will talk to our municipal court judge. So 8 of those are in. And then 33 remain open because they have not passed their timeline of going to see the judge, and they have not cleaned up the violation. With that, if you flip over the page, I've given you a comparison of the trends of code enforcement so you can see if we're having an up or down year. So for the comparisons of May 2024, you only had 11 cases that year. In May of 2025, you had 40, and then this year you've had 36. And then you can see a chart breakdown of all the months. You'll see April, the month that you missed. April is traditionally always our busiest month because that's when your grass starts growing again, and people don't have it on their mowing schedule to get that mowed. And then what I've done is I've broken down those numbers that you see into what those cases actually are. So in May of 2024, we issued 7 high grass violations and only had 4 miscellaneous violations. In May of 25, we had 2 trash cases, 34 high grass, and 4 miscellaneous. And then in May of 26, we had 1 trash case, 34 high grass, and 1 miscellaneous. As you can tell, we're really busy with high grass, and it's going to stay that way for a very long time. And then you'll see the chart on the very next page of what it looks like on a bar graph in case you'd like to see that visually. And then you've asked me to keep a tab of what's in the municipal court system. And so your addresses are as below. I'm not going to read them out loud for the sake of people at home, but this report is an open record. If you'd like to see it, I can give it to you at any time. With that, I can field any questions that you may have.
Does code enforcement work with community resources to help with these violations?
So code enforcement has worked with before, yes. We're not in a partnership with anybody, if that's the question. So we don't, if we know that we're sending a high grass letter to somebody, we're not going to automatically refer them to, I'll use Street Ministries as an example. They've
Right,
done a couple
exactly,
things.
yeah.
We won't do that. But if we get somebody that will call us, just traditionally, code enforcement is very lenient here. I've built the reputation of, we'll send you this notice, if you call me, we're gonna work with you, because I know life happens, you know, maybe you can't get it done in 10 days. As long as you're keeping me updated on what's happening, I can give you up to 30 days. Anything past 30 days is a little bit of a stretch at that point, but we've had situations where we've given past 30 days. But I've had calls from, you know, older folks that cannot
That's what
mow
I'm
their
thinking
lawn.
about is that it's not that they don't want to, they can't anymore.
We will
or
refer
they-
them on to someone like Street Ministries.
Okay.
Or sometimes, a lot of the calls will be, I have a grandson that mows my grass. He can't get down here until a month. Can you work with me? Absolutely. If you can't mow your grass and your grandson can't get down here until a month, we'll work with you on that. You know, so we're very lenient as long as they get it done. You know, we have habitual violators that, you know, I don't care what you tell me at this point, just cut your grass, or you're gonna go talk to the judge. But are not habituals, we will work with very well. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does, it does.
Sorry. I thought I turned it off.
We only accept spam calls at the meeting.
Well, I'm good at those, yeah. Have a
Any other questions on the
Do we need to keep track of repeats? I think that,
Well, at this point, the hard thing about repeat, I've been doing this for so long now. I think almost everybody's at least had a code letter once. That gets a code letter. It's very rare that I'm building a new one in my system, honestly. You know, when we first talk about repeats, I think it was a point of that had virtue to it. But now it would be like, what do you define?
yeah.
Do you define repeat as multiple times in a year, or do you define repeat as they received a code letter in the past couple of years? Like, what is a repeat to you?
Right.
Because I've had people, because I've been doing code enforcement here for 5 years now, that I'll have some that have only gotten 2 letters, and then I have others that have gotten up to 15 letters. So like, what's a repeat? I guess would be.
well, I was thinking about an indicator for what she was talking about. If somebody needs help, you might find it, you know what I'm saying? Hey, this house is all of a sudden on the radar and.
Right, community, yeah.
And something may be going on.
Right, working
but-
with the community, that's what I was asking about, community resources, are they aware of places that they can
Well-
work with, or that you can connect with, or somehow, so that they can come up to code? It doesn't have to be anything that they personally have to do if they can't, but they know that there's support on other ways, so they don't get a violation, so they don't have to get a fine.
Right. I will say to the fine route, would never find anybody for grass since I've been here. Actually, I mean, we
Well,
have a
that's
very
nice
good
to know.
compliance rate. We haven't found anybody for trash. The only people that will actually fine, I'll just budget in. I mean, budget in. We use the fine route. You know, we'll talk about fines, but I mean, we don't want money. We really don't. We just want you to cut your grass, right? But we just have to put a mechanism in there to insinuate you to cut your grass. So even our folks that go to the municipal court system. Now, our repeat offenders, they're starting to change policy and they're going to start paying fines because we have some that will they'll get a letter from me. Like, you know, he says 10 days, but I really have 2 months because the court's going to send me all the paperwork and then I'll cut it. You know, they're going to start paying the fines that the court, because the court will have court costs.
Right,
involved.
exactly.
So that's the fine
Yes.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Those are different. But the ones that happen just here in a blue moon, typically what happened in my experience is I usually get a phone call because when you read that letter, that's a scary letter because it's telling you you're going to owe $2,000. And the way a lot of people read it is that I'm going to fine them $2,000, which I don't have the authority to do that. And that if the 10 days pass and they automatically assess the fine, which if in the letter it talks about that the judge might do that. He doesn't prefer to do that, but he might do that. And so we'll usually get a call, and that's when we'll work with them. Our habitual offenders are going to read that letter and they don't care. I mean, because they know how the process works. So.
problem that we have this time of year with the rain that we have. The mowers show up, but they can't do it because it's too wet.
Yeah.
It's a balancing act. Thank you, Ben, for being so patient.
And we started this historically, we started this just to see if we had some ordinances that, if everybody in town is violating a certain ordinance, you probably need to go back and look at the ordinance.
Yeah, get rid of the ordinance, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Great information.
Yeah. Any other questions that you have? We can talk about code enforcement all day long if you want to.
How about received a monthly Development Services Department report?
Okay, this is a really slow month for development services because we only issued 10 building permits, 2 electrical and 2 plumbing, which is less than even half of what we'll traditionally do on a month. No new home permits this month, which was a shame. But there was about $122,000 in estimated improvements. They were all small projects this time around, like roofing, replacing the windows, maybe installing a carport here or there. They're all very small items. And then we only held one pre-development meeting with the same subdivision, Millerton Landing, that got their development agreement approved by council at their last meeting. So now you'll start, maybe not next month, but maybe the month after, you might see a plat and a zoning request. I'm not sure what the timeline is, but I think they're trying to blow and go on this thing. And so you'll start to be involved in that process a lot more heavily than you are now. But other than that, very slow.
This is where y'all say, yay!
And this
Yeah.
is housing?
It's another housing development. It's on the west end by the intermediate school, and they're proposing about 400 lots right now. They have 2 different site plans depending on if they can do a land swap with the school, and then they're also how the water rights go with Southwest Milan because they have some lines in that area. So there's some pending action on that.
It's already went before state council, right?
The development agreement has, and so that got approved, and so that's the very first step. And so now the development agreement basically sets the standard of what we're going for. So it's talked about that we're going to do a PUD, a TERS, and a PID. A TERS is a tax increment reinvestment zone. It's just a financing mechanism for these developments. Same with a public improvement district, a PID. And I'm throwing around these words like you've been here for years. And
I'm familiar with them because of other things, but not here.
okay, good. So you'll hear that and ask them as many questions as you want. And then their zoning, and it's talked about their zoning and other development standards. It's just a document that guides it and says, we're going to do all these things as a city and developer to make this development happen, and then you approve that, and then now you actually go do all those things. You're still going through a whole bunch of approvals, but that's basically your baseline document. It gives the developer surety to close on the land, essentially is what it's doing.
Who are the developers?
So it's,
They were here.
I can't remember the company name, I only remember their actual name. I think it's Gerard Development, Brian Gerard and Jim Maddox.
Yeah, that's
Are
it.
the ones that came represented to you.
Yes.
So that'll be a developer. If they've specified a builder, they haven't told us yet, which is still very early in the game for them to specify a builder because they still have to go through their plating and zoning.
This is the property, I can't think of the family name. Can you? That he's talking about? Anyway,
I locked up on, I know the Pezzles were back out that way, but I can't think of who had that right in that stretch right there. Oh.
I can't think of the name either.
Yeah, timing's a little touchy on that because of what happened at Cornerstone and interest rates and everything like that. So I was happy to see that they were still interested in the project.
Well, I saw it going on that, we talk about that. The city updated their PID policy, and in that it talks about the signage. I know that there was a lot of concern about the disclosure of that. And to be quite frank, it's going to be very hard for the city to determine if they're getting that documentation in their closing documents before they close. But one of those requirements is the signage that you're entering into the facility and then actually at the model home. So I went through 3 or 4 different reports talking about, if you're ever bored enough, there's about an 80 or 90 page report on signage on roads and like how fast you're driving, how big the sign needs to be, what font it needs to be, what the background needs to be, and how much time you have to read said sign. I read through all of that to give them a standard. And so they've agreed to that standard. So you should see those signs going up soon on the roadway, so they'll be a little bit bigger. And then as far as at the model home, there will be a sign with the QR code now. That will take you to the city website, which Shannon did a good job with. That gives you all the PID information. You'll just go on the QR code and it'll tell you everything you want to know about a PID before you buy it. Hopefully that will be enough for homeowners to be aware that they're in a PID before signing those documents.
So the way I still see it is the fault didn't seem like it was on the city, it was on the people closing, based on some education that I recently did for loan originators. Yeah, and so it's like we're taking these precautions, but is there going to be somebody that's, I guess really the QR codes is really the only mechanism that we have to make sure that people.
No, I mean, there's a lot more requirements than just the signage. The issue that's going to be tough, and this is little old Ben's opinion. Doesn't have that big of a title here, but you're asking for the city to catch something after the fact. Because the city's not there when someone's buying a house. And you don't want the city there when you're buying a house, and the city doesn't want to be there when you're buying a house. The city wants to offer those protections, so the signage and these things that we know, that I can go out on site and physically see if that sign's up or not. Because if the sign's not up, you're getting violation letters, and, there's mechanisms that we can use to make them do that. But as far as making sure paperwork's in the closing, that's the part that I don't see how the city can do that. You can catch them after the fact, but the problem is you want to catch them before the fact to protect them. And that's the challenge that I'm not sure how you answer that outside of just getting someone that's going to sell them and do the right notifications and let you know the bid and not just try to slip it in there. Not saying that's what D.R. Horton did, because I wasn't there on the closing. I have no idea what happened out there. But that's the concern, is that would not happen again.
So coffee shop discussion. People were saying, why didn't they just roll that price in $3,000 a year, just say a number. Why didn't they roll it into the cost of the lot? And I said, well, because there's a PID had to be funded separately, right? You couldn't roll it into the lot. It was take a 10-year, $30,000, right?
But here's the thing.
For the cost of the
and
PID.
again, this is little old Ben speaking about something that's a little bit above his head. My understanding about how PIDs work is they're actually bought down, so it's not going to be $3,000 every year to you. So you can't just say, just put it into the lot and it's a 30-year pit at $3,000, so $90,000 to make the lot $90,000 more expensive if you want to buy it, because it's actually bought down at the TERS, and the more that develops, so that number will change and it'll get lower. What happened out there is this was the first one that was assessed, so it was at its highest value. They got it right before Christmas, and so that was,
What is PID?
a PID's a public improvement district. It's essentially bonds are assessed to help pay for the infrastructure, and then those bondholders are getting their money back from that assessment. And so they typically last for 30 years is what we've been doing. And they're very, very common. A lot of, they're newer is what I've been told from our bond council. They're like maybe 10 or 20 years old now. And so it's a newer idea, but that's where a lot of people are going. And then the TERS is the tax increment reinvestment zone that caps it essentially. And then anything that goes over that reinvestment zone is reinvested back into the subdivision itself.
They can't be combined really because they're on two different amortization schedules.
Yeah. I've been told you can pay them in advance, which I'm not sure
I
how
had
that
heard
exactly
that they
works.
tell you up front, at that time of closing, the price
Exactly.
is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right, but it is actually bought down, so it's not a fixed value every single time.
And that's not something like the city can step in and say, like, you have to do it one way or the other.
Right.
That has to be discretion of the developer and the purchaser.
That's right.
All right, I guess that completes your report.
Sure, yeah, no more questions.
So now we have the announcements.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you guys about this because this is a very new thing. I've watched some other city councils in my own free time, and they do a announcements portion of their meeting, which I thought would be pretty beneficial. All it is it's not a discussion. So what this would be is each one of you have time, as much time as you want, to say whatever you want. So if there's something on your mind or something that you want on a future agenda or something that you want staff to start looking into, or if you're getting calls from your constituents, anything like that, this is your time to talk about it. So I actually have an announcement. I'll start it off to give an example. Mr. Alcala that came here, for the record, he asked to be on this agenda and I completely missed it. So that's why he came and spoke to you today. He was very kind and very patient with me, and that was completely my fault to miss that. And so what he's asking for is if the commission is even willing to potentially amend the allowed use table to add RV parks back in. It's ultimately going to be up to the city council, but that is what his request is going to be because his development did not come to fruition out there. He's looking to sell, and in the meantime, he has his infrastructure out there. He wants to do something with it. I won't get into the specifics of it, but just so you know, that's why he came and talked to you. He's already spoken to me, and I just missed putting it on this agenda. So we might put it on the workshop, is what I'd like to get it on, so that way he can know if this is something that the commission wants to move forward on and what your recommendation would be on that.
We really appreciate the contribution to the town and everything that he's done a great job out there. I don't know if y'all been out there, but it's very well put together. Little space there. So.
An announcement I would probably say is I'd like to have some kind of a meeting, whether quarterly or whatever, with the city council, just to seek their thoughts on direction. Are you pro-business? Are you pro-residential? You know, do you want to allow RV parks? You know, it would help to kind of have a feel for it, but.
Would that be like meeting, or maybe we would be able to request an action item for their city council meeting to be able to kind of give
I
guidance?
think that's what this is for. We're trying to set some, how do we,
We can get it on an agenda. I mean, that's something that Shannon and I can place on there, that it could just be a workshop, and it could be whomever wants to come from the planning commission to talk to the council about their goals and priorities. Because clearly my goals and priorities are not aligned with everyone else's goals and priorities on this. Because Tim was asking me how the council felt about manufactured housing. I told him, I'm not sure. I don't know how they feel about that, and so my job as a planner is to give them something to think about. They don't have to approve it. So I think that would be beneficial, because right now, all I can go by is the comprehensive plan. And so the comprehensive plan is asking us to be creative with mixed-use developments and missing middle housing. And so when I get these requests in that are traditionally scary, I'm trying to make it into a way, form it to where you can be as comfortable with it as possible, and allow for a different housing stock in your community.
and our commission is subject to change with the seating of 2 more commissioners in it of its own self, so, you know. I mean, an announcement can be, are we ever gonna do anything with Redbud Street? And, you know, give some example. I don't want
Okay,
them to
so
be afraid to say something.
The way that this
during
segment is meant to work is it's meant to be, Commissioner Higdon can say whatever he'd like to say. So if Commissioner Higdon's beginning a lot of calls about high grass on Alcoa, he can talk about, I just want to report to the commission that I've been getting a lot of calls of high grass on Alcoa, and I'd like for staff to investigate that. And I'll just nod my head and say, yes, sir, Mr. Higdon, I'll investigate that. And then Ms. Ratliff can talk about, I would like us to start looking back into the historical commission idea that we had a long time ago. And I would nod and say, yes, ma'am, Ms. Ratliff will look back into that. And then these items can either come back on the agenda if there's something that needs to come back up on an agenda, or if it's just a staff policy, then I can go out there in the field and look at high grass. That's all it's meant to do. It's not necessarily a discussion. It's just for you to say whatever has been on your mind or whatever someone's presented to you that you want to say to staff in an open meeting, so that way it's on record that you've talked to the city about something, And then if I fail to get it on your agenda, then you need to get somebody in here that does their job better than I do.
Things like, where we at on the mid-century plan, you know?
Yes.
I'm saying there's nothing we want freedom to discuss.
That's right. You can, whatever you have. So the reason that it's on your agenda is I want everybody on the commission to feel like their voice is heard and that they have a chance to present directly to me or to each other of what is on your plate or what ideas you may have for us to look into.
Something that just popped into my mind was take it back to the street project. Did you ever happen to find those couple signs that are either missing or hidden? The street signs that are out and around.
But not
I think Smith was one of them. It was just like completely covered by foliage.
Oh, I had, yeah.
Oh, I've seen some,
Yeah.
and I have reported some. I probably haven't seen all of them.
What if you're missing street sign, a street
Yeah,
sign
what-
altogether?
So if
Like Hunter.
there's a street sign missing, you need to call City Hall. And what we'll do is we'll put a work order in. And what a work order is it tracks something in the system. So if you call me about a missing street sign, it won't be me putting it in. I don't have the access, but it'll be Danielle or Teresa putting it in, and they'll say missing sign at the corner of whatever road is missing a sign.
Hunter and
And then it will track in the system. It'll originate the date, and then it'll actually print, and it'll be given to Public Works, and then they will schedule the guys out there. In this case, they'll probably have to order a street sign, and then they'll get it out there. But like a water leak, for example, every water leak we have is reported through a work order, and it's tracked that way, so that way you know what your Public Works department is doing.
We recently did a canvass of the city streets, trying to prioritize. But we drove every street, and I know I was making a list of missing signs and stuff, and I turned it in, I think, to Gerald or you. Who did I turn it? But anyway, yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
'cause
made note of it and
you have
didn't.
to be traveling the right way to know what streets you're on.
There were a few. Or I should say.
Hey, I'm not gonna say anything derogatory about Gerald and the boys, but the crew that dug up a water line repair couldn't put the stop sign back up. It's still laying on the ground. It's like, come on, guys, you got a shovel.
Where?
You got a shovel.
Where is the sign on the ground?
So you can repair a water line, but it stops.
Okay.
Go down San Jacinto and stop at the first stop sign you see laying on the ground. Anyway, this is the way it's supposed to go. You're not really, I mean, this idea is for us.
it's something that I thought of that, I wanted to give you that opportunity. If there's something you don't like, we do not have to do it.
I like
But
it.
Yeah.
I wanted you to have the opportunity to not have to take more of your own personal time to call me and discuss an item. You can do it in the meeting and just present it to me, and then we can always hash it out at a future meeting.
Definitely want to second Mr. Williams' recommendation to have more communication with City Council directly, whether it's open door, closed door, done, or public or closed door.
Okay. Yeah, we can.
This is where you go.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk to Tim. It'll be ultimately Tim's decision if he wants to do a workshop or if he just wants a couple of you and a couple of council, so that way you don't meet open meetings.
Right.
It'd be his decision, but we'll present that to him, Shannon and I, and see what he thinks. So that way you can get some direction on items like the one that you saw before us that you're not so sure how the council feels, so it makes it harder to be the advisory board to that.
You've got 8 more minutes to feel complete. So
Anything else that the commission wants to announce / present?
the sinking highway in front of the Rainbow Courts or anything, Joan?
How much influence do you have over TechStop? Man, it's ridiculous. They come and repair it they did just a few days ago, all those spots. And then, but they don't block it off. So within 10 minutes of them leaving, there's semi trucks driving over it. So it's pointless.
I don't like the way they keep doing Alcoa and, what is that street? Go straight into the school. Hogan.
It's frustrating.
They've done that,
Who
whole
else?
redo that pothole at least every other year. And I've only been here 3 years.
But that's what we found in our street survey is that the patches
that's what
are
it's-
a part of the problem.
Yeah, they're not, they're not, and to me, if it doesn't work once, how many times before you realize it's not working?
Maybe you should call TechStop. It's a mess. I'm sure that they farm that out to some company
They do.
that does it, but they need to know it's not working. What they're spending money on.
Tenacity is admirable, but needs some change to make some improvements.
I have a question, kind of in the announcements into the thing. What slowed down or what happened out at Murphy? Was it the weather related, or the permitting, was something going on? Because they were going great guns there for a while and hit a wall, just screeching halt.
Nothing on the city's end. So I wouldn't know.
Nothing on our city.
Yeah, either weather related or something's going on with the subcontractor. I'm not sure.
I know a lot of people are having personnel issues.
The street scoring matrix, what's it for?
So the street scoring matrix was it was a workshop done by the planning commission. It started as a farewell gift from Barbara Hawley, our past city manager, to the city of a street assessment. And then it got put onto my plate, which is about like 30% complete. And so then myself and Justin Williams did the rest of the 70% of it and turned that in. And all it is a street scoring assessment of where your streets are today. If it's really, there was five categories. There was failing, poor, average, good, and excellent.
Right.
And so we created a spreadsheet of every 100 block in town. We told you what it was made of, how wide it was, how long it was, what was around it, if there was curbs. What else am I missing? What was wrong with it, if there was anything wrong with it, an itemized list of what was wrong with it. Then gave it a score. And then that turned into, in your charter, the planning commission is required to make a recommendation to the city council of CIP funding, of what you recommend for a capital improvements program, is what CIP stands for. And so we created a matrix for you to score my score. Because, something maybe, because we had so many poor streets, we'll say
Yes,
we
we
had
do.
a lot of poor
That's
streets.
why I was wondering if there's any sort of update.
We wanted to give them a score because not every poor street's equally as important, unfortunately. You have a limited amount of funding and you got to decide what goes first and what goes last. And so we gave a matrix to tell you how many blocks was in it, what was the condition, what's around it, what's your own personal opinion of the importance. So that way they could all get a different score, and then they could go on a CIP list, and then at that point the city can now use that list. And as streets are repaired, they can check it off the list and move it to the bottom, and everything else bumps up. So that way, at some point,
So do we get
every
an
road
up-
gets touched at some
Do we
point.
get an update on this, or is it just done once a year, or?
So you'll be workshopping this once a year,
Okay.
unless I'm told differently from my management. But you would be reviewing the list, you'd review the scores. So they did a ton of work on this, and it was really appreciated. You will not have to do that again while I'm here, because what we're going to do is we're just going to take that list and we'll review it and say, okay, this road, a water line burst half of it, and now we had to repave it, and the paving's bad, and so now this road is just actually more important than all these other roads. Something like that could happen. You're just reviewing the list, and then you're going to decide what you're comfortable with, if something needs to move for whatever reason, and then you're going to approve it. So that way you don't have to go through the process that we did last time of actually grading every street again and again and again.
So what did city council actually think of our process? I don't know if I ever heard what they had to say about it.
I'm not sure that they were fully aware of the extent of effort that you guys did, to be quite honest with you, because I'm not sure that they were fully aware of the extent of effort that staff did. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think it was one of those that they had ideas from constituents of what was bad. They didn't necessarily look into the grading of it. The council is very much trustworthy of you guys, which is a very good place to be in. And so they took your recommendation very well. They only moved the order of a couple of them. I think they just bumped Redbud first maybe and kind of bumped everything else down a little bit. But they didn't make very many changes. So they really rely on your recommendation, which is where you want to be at as a city. Because I've seen others where the council hates the planning commission. And so the planning commission recommends something, and then we're going to stare at this thing for 2 hours and figure out how we can make this go the opposite way.
Oh my
I'm
God.
glad that they ended up approving the storage thing, because I'm like, I knew that their position was against that being on like the main 79 thoroughfare, and so I was a little hesitant with like motioning to approve it, but I was like, yeah, I mean, because of what they already have shown, But yeah.
If we get more housing in, better if we get a business park in, then there's more funds gonna be available for them to budget towards what we recommend. Right now, we can recommend the moon, but,
the money there.
we haven't been set up to do that. We don't have a schedule, and this is the infancy of a plan.
Yeah.
Is there any plan for a route around where,
Oh, sister, now you're dancing. Ooh,
There's not currently a plan for a truck route that I know of.
just be sure you don't call it a loop. It's an alternate route.
Alternate route.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of them.
I'm not either.
I'm not. That is the quickest way to kill a downtown. I mean,
not if you're downtown, see, that's the problem, is if your community is set on keeping its integrity, it will work together to keep its integrity.
I
I am
I
gonna,
disagree.
and I
can try, but
The-
I interviewed several, when this came up years ago, I called so many cities that
Well, I
had
was gonna
in
say
Texas.
call Taylor.
Oh, yeah,
It took
that's
Taylor about 30 years.
all Bastrop. How many loops do they have now?
Yeah, I mean,
Three?
I get the traffic's bad, and it does need to be resolved, but it will kill your downtown more likely than not.
And
Now the
it's
downtown can
inevitable.
fix itself because Taylor's done a great job.
Yes,
of
exactly,
revitalizing.
that's what I was gonna say.
But it takes a
You've gotta do,
long
no, you've gotta do both at the same time. You can't let one go, you can't just work on one side, you've gotta be working on both sides at the same time. So if you keep building your downtown fiber, there's people who want to come downtown and they don't want to see or even be involved in that much traffic.
Well,
Okay, so they kind of tend to stay
Alta
away from downtown.
LaGrange, they tried that. They definitely worked real hard. But what happened is that the spaces that were available, it ended up being non-retail. So there was no, their taxes decreased anyway, their sales tax. And it just created still
Why was
a
it
huge problem.
non-retail? If it's downtown, it
Offices
should
and
be.
Because
apartments.
retail wasn't doing good. Retail was failing.
Because they're going to go off the traffic count. Because a lot of your business in any town, especially a town of Rockdale, that's a small town still, you're not going to have businesses that people know of and that they're going to intentionally drive to. So what happens is you're driving down, is it Maine that you're on now, Dustin? You're driving down Maine and my back's tight, and Ackerman, and so I see Dustin's got a business. Well, I might stop in there and see. That's what happens with downtown. So when you take that traffic away,
That's what I'm saying, well, but that's what I'm saying about the community building businesses downtown that people want to come to, that keep that flavor of a small town, of a good vibrant downtown. Georgetown, see, they built a whole thing for their city, but their traffic is awful. I mean, they're,
Well, it goes back to also to the Main Street program, which is what Georgetown had, what Taylor eventually had, that saved their,
that's what I'm saying, so you have that, you have to do those
we
things
have
at
to
the
be
same
able to
time.
finance it, the Main Street program, and hire a director that will manage that program, and they've had amazing results with that program. It's really sponsored by the Historical Commission, the state is, or the people that
Yes.
overlook it. It's a federal program.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, because I've gone through small towns that are being revitalized, and that's the whole thing, is they're working on revitalizing their downtown. They're
It's
keeping the
too late
highway
for
away
some
from
of that.
downtown.
It may be too late for some of the retail.
Well, I won't say that there was two old guys who were riding around and got lost behind Samsung, but we were on something called the Samsung, they were on the Samsung Highway, and it just stops. All of a sudden, it
Yeah.
stops at a cornfield.
Yes.
And so we turned and went down the road and found where there's a huge data center being built, not the one on the loop. I'm talking about out in the cornfields around
Yeah.
Samsung. And then all of a sudden, here's this big 6-lane bridge. And I am asking them what? Oh, they're part of a loop system they're gonna put in. And we were talking to some locals, they said, yeah, they're even talking about putting, like downtown Austin, an
yes,
overpass over a
yes.
Hutto. I go, whoa, what? You know, it's just
That's-
growing in the cornfields, there's
Well,
concrete.
but that's why I'm saying the coordination, like, for example, knowing what's going on with TDOC, knowing what they want to plan, what they're looking, what they're forecasting, because they're supposed to be the forecasters. They're supposed to be the ones that are supposed to look at how effective, how to coordinate, how can you get through all these cities and not allow them to die, but then not also become Austin. That sort of thing. So is there any sort of,
I do agree it's a balance. We only have so much space here in the main street.
Yes.
And the fact that it is like big trucks going through, it becomes a problem, especially as, we have what, 5,000.
so what is happening in Austin? They've destroyed UT campus, they're destroyed the Irwin Center. Why? Because they're gonna make a 6-lane highway now. Is that what you want? I mean, that's what I'm saying, that's why you've gotta maintain these things at the same time.
Well, we were, before the master plan, the mid-century plan came in, we were working that way, identifying corridors, and we were looking at traffic routes and all that, but we now have to conform to what was suggested to us to do
I think if
through the mid-century plan, and so we gotta back off on all that and like identify the worst streets. You know what I'm saying? But
at least started with something.
Yeah.
But I think if you talk to the local realtors, for example, Antique Queens, 90% of her customers were drive-through customers, were people, not local people. And so there are businesses downtown that are very dependent upon that.
But they're not there anymore, are they?
No, they closed.
So, I mean.
90% was not enough to support them.
It-
Anyway, hey
yeah,
guys,
no,
it's
it's
3:07. It's 3:07. We're gonna have to go ahead and adjourn this.
But it's a good discussion.
I squeezed an extra
Ben.
16 minutes out of poor old Ben, so appreciate it, Ben.
I'm on the clock till 5.
Well, if that's the case, then I rescind the amendment.
I agree.